Daf Samach Amud Aleph will begin Daf Nun Tes Amud Beis, 7 lines from the bottom with the 2 dots. A woman cannot go out with a ring that does not have a seal. It's also midrabanan to go out with a ring that doesn't have a seal. It's also similar to the other gzeras, that she might take it off and carry it, but in it itself is not considered carrying. It in itself is considered a shlit, but it's also midrabanan. So the Gemara is medayek chayeves. That implies that if it would have a seal, that it's not only also midrabanan, that it's even midaraisa also, that it's not considered a shlit for her. Alma lav shlit. Must be therefore that a ring that has a seal for a woman doesn't usually go out with that type of a ring. Normally a man does, he uses it to seal documents. So therefore, for the woman, it's not considered a shlit, and there's even a chiyuv d'oraisa. The takshitim of women are tmeim. So it says in the Mishnah, in Kalim, that takshitim, women, that those are takshitim, are susceptible to tuma, can be mekabel tuma. Ve'elahim takshitim noshim, and these are what are considered the takshitim of noshim: katlois, chokers, nizomin, earrings, tavois, rings. So nizomin, earrings, and tavois, and rings are considered a takshit. Then it continues and says, "V'tabas, a ring, ben sheyesh le'achaysim, ben she'ein le'achaysim," and whether it has a ring, has a seal or not. V'nizme'av, and nose rings. Al kol panim, what do we see over here? We see that a ring, whether it has a chaysim, whether it has or not, is considered a takshit. Now here we're medayik in our Mishnah that if it has a chaysim, it's not considered a takshit. There's a chiyuv d'oraisa, and yet it seems to imply over there Elohim takshitin noshim, and it says of the pas whether it has a chaysim or not. V'omar Rabbi Zera said loy kasher. We can resolve it based on the machlokes from the Nechemia and Rabbanan, and we would say that our Mishnah is going according to the Nechemia, and the Mishnah in Kalim is going according to the Rabbanan. What is the machlokes between them? The machlokes is if you have an item which has 2 components, how do you define that item? For instance, you have a ring, it has the band of the ring, and it has a seal. Is the ring defined by the band or by the seal? Now, the Rabbanan hold that you define it not based on the seal, you define it based on what is holding up the seal, the band. Now, since a woman wears a ring with a band, even if it has a seal, we would still consider it to be a takshit, and that's the Mishnah in Kalim. Rav Nechemia, on the other hand, holds that we define it by what the visible part of it is, what is the item that is most nicker, you define it by the seal. And a woman usually doesn't use a ring with a seal, and since this ring is defined by as a seal, a ring with a chaysim, it's not considered a takshit, and that is our Mishnah. So our Mishnah would be according to the Nechemia, and the Mishnah in Kalim according to the Rabbanan. So again, V'amar Rav Zera lo kasha, ha'Rabbi Nechemia ha'Rabbanan. That's only because we learned in the Brisa, where does this machlokes? He shall matas v'chaysom shall almug. If the ring was made out of metal, and the chaysom, the seal of it, was made out of almug, which is wood. Now wood, shute kliyates, is not makabel tuma. So do we define this ring as a metal keli, which is makabel tuma, or do we define it as shute kliyates, which is not makabel tuma? So it's tamei. We say it's tamei. So this is the sheet of the Rabbanan that we define it based on the band, on the ring. So it's considered a kli matras and kabel tuma. He shall almug v'chaysam shall matras, but in the other way around, the opposite way, if the band is made out of wood and the seal is made out of metal, then it's dahira because it's defined as a pshute kliyates, because it's defined by the band, what holds up the chaysam. Rabbi Nechemia matam. But Nechemia says the opposite. So he's matam. So he would just say just the opposite of what the sheet of the Rabbanan is. Shahaya Rabbi Nechemia said, "Betabas halacha chaysama." In a ring, you go after the seal. Be'ol halacha simlaina. In a yoke and an animal, you go after the pegs. So if you have the yoke, you put the animal's head between two bars, and the pegs that hold those bars together, that hold the yoke and hold its head between these two bars, the pegs that hold it together, then you go after you go after the pegs. B'koilov, and when you have a merchant is selling items, so he has like a post or like a beam, and he attaches things to it. Let's say he's selling belts, or he's selling a different things like that, or scarves or ties, etc. So he has a beam and he puts nails in it, and then he displays the items on it. He attaches it to them, and that's how he displays his merchandise for people to buy. So Koilov, when you have this display beam, you go after, it's defined by the nails. Besulam, and a ladder, it's defined by the rungs in the ladder. You have the ladder, but you have the rungs. So it's defined by the rungs. If the rungs are wood, it's considered a klietz. If the rungs are metal, it's considered a klimatres. We don't define it based on the vertical posts, it's based on the rungs. Ba'arsi, in a scale, if you have a scale, so you have the pans on the scale, and they're suspended by chains, he says it's dependent on the chains. It's defined by the main portion that holds up and supports the entire keli. So if you have a ring, it's the band. If you have the display area, it's the beam. It's not the nails. And if you have the scale, it's the basic post that the pans rest on. It's not dependent on the chains. You hold it, it's based on the mamid. So therefore, we want to say as follows. In the case of our Mishnah, which is mashma, that by the ring, if it has a chaysim, that it's not a tachshid, it's a chiv chatas, our Mishnah is going according to Reb Nechemia, that you define the ring based on the seal. And therefore, since a man doesn't usually uses a ring with a seal, but a woman usually doesn't, she usually does not. If it has a seal, it's not defined as a ring for a tachshid v'nisha, and therefore is chay v'chatas. The Mishnah in Kalim, which says it's a tachshid whether it has a chaysim or it doesn't have a chaysim, is considered a tachshid, is going according to the Rabbanan, because according to the Rabbanan, it is you define it based on the band itself, and then if the band is something that a woman wears, whether it has a seal or not, the seal will not detract from the fact that the main part of the ring, the band, is something that a woman wears. So it's considered to be a tachshid. That's one approach. Rava gives a different teretz. So let's start in Kitan. It's talking in different cases. It's not to, as we assumed before, that when it says the Mishnah Kalim that the ring is a tachshid, whether it has a chaysim or not, it's talking in the same case. Let's start it. Where is it? Yesh aleh chaysim, if it has a chaysim, tachshid ish. If a man is wearing it, a man usually wears a ring with a chaysim. So for a man, it's considered a tachshid. Ein aleh chaysim, tachshid isha. If there's no chaysim, it's a tachshid for an isha. And therefore, really, it's consistent with our Mishnah. Over there, then it says whether it has a chaysim or not. It's not talking in the same case. It's not talking that if a woman wears it with a ring with a chaysim or without a chaysim, it's a tachshid. No, it's talking about it could be a tachshid if it has a chaysim, if a man wears it, if it's a man's ring. But if it's a woman's ring, if it's ain't allowed chaysim, so it's consistent with our Mishnah. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Omer, third teretz, he says, too much Shabbos Karam. He says there's no kasha to begin with. Our Mishnah holds that it's only considered a tachshid for a woman if there's no chaysim. There, that it says that it's considered whether it has a chaysim or it doesn't have a chaysim. Over there, it's talking l'gabei tuma, which has a different criteria, a totally different criteria. Tuma Shabbos Karam is tuma kli ma'aseh rachman. In order to be kabel tuma, it has to be a kli that's functional, that has a use. Ukli, and whether it has a chaysim or it doesn't have a chaysim, it's considered a kli, so it's susceptible to makabel tuma. Shabbos mishum masem archmana. Shabbos, the issue is it's considered carrying. Ein ala chaysim. If there's no chaysim, it's a tachshit. Yesh ala chaysim mostly, but if it has a chaysim, it's not considered a tachshit, and therefore it's considered carrying. But the criteria is different. To be considered a kli legabel tuma for legabel tuma, as far as tuma is concerned, is a kli maisa if it has a function, if it has a purpose. Whether it has a chaysim or not, it has a purpose. As far as Shabbos is concerned, it's considered carrying unless it's an item of clothing, it's a tachshit or a tachshit, otherwise it's considered carrying. For a woman, a ring that has a chaysim is not considered a tachshit, so it's considered carrying. So the Mishnah considers it, continues, it says, V'loi b'machat shein in the kuva, and she can't go out with a needle that doesn't have an eye and a hole in the needle. So that, again, is into the category that we were discussing, that really it's not considered carrying. However, she might take it off and show it to a friend. So, l'may chazeh, what is this needle used for? So, snow chiv chatas, it's only in Isser D'Rabbanan. Therefore, we would say that it's used, something that she uses in the process of her wearing it. An item of a touch. What is it used for? Amar Rav Yosef, she uses it that if she has hairs that are stray hairs, she uses it to pin it and to make sure that it's concealed under her hair covering. So why should that be also? Why we're not concerned, shouldn't be concerned in that case, just like we say what she has a garter that holds up her stockings, which happens to be tor. As Rashi explains, the fact that it's tor is incidental. It's agav. It's not really negayah to our discussion here. We happen to be talking about abirias, which it is tahara. It's considered tahara because it's only a kli that's mishamish, another kli. In and itself is not an item of clothing, it's just serves, it's something to serve the stockings. So it happens to be tahara. But nevertheless, she's allowed to go out with it. We're not concerned that she's going to show it to another woman, and she's not going to show it, she's not going to remove it, her stocking would fall off. So here also, we should say the same thing, that she is not going to uncover, she's not going to remove it because her hairs will be uncovered. So it should be mutter. So therefore, that can't be the pshat. She uses it to part her hair. Now, on Rashi says, this is Rashi Shita, Taisus argues, but Rashi says, well, if she uses it to part her hair, on Shabbos, you can't comb your hair. It's also to comb your hair, so she's not going to use it for that purpose on Shabbos. So what purpose would be on Shabbos? Again, we're saying that there's no chiv chatas. It's not considered carrying. It's an Isser D'Rabbanan. She might show it to her friend. What is the use that would be on Shabbos that would render it a tachshit and say it's not considered a masui? So it has a band of gold on it. It has on it, this comb-like item has a band of gold. It's used during the weekday to part her hair. On Shabbos, she puts it on her forehead. So she has it on her forehead. It's an item of jewelry. It's not considered a masa. It's not considered carrying. But again, it's part of the same zera that she might remove it and come to carry it. Zok the Mishnah, lo yetzoish b'sandal mesumar. A man cannot go out on Shabbos with a sandal that has nails nailed into the bottom of it. So we'll see in the Gemara what's the problem over here with it. It's like cleats. It's a sandal that has nails on the bottom. It's like cleats. He cannot go out with these cleats on Shabbos. V'lo b'yachid, and not with one shoe or one sandal. Bisman shein barag l'maka. Where he does not have a wound on his feet. If he has on one foot, he has a wound, so it's clear why he's going out with only one shoe and not the other shoe. He has a wound on it. But otherwise, it looks strange. People might laugh at him. He might come to take it off and come to carry it, so he's not allowed to go out with a sandal yichidi. V'loi b'tefillin, and he can't go out with a tefillin. It's also to go tefillin. We'll see in the Gemara why. And not from an amulet if it's not from an expert. If it's from an expert, it's someone who's demonstrated that his amulets work, they heal, then it's considered a tachshit. But if it's not from an expert, it is also v'loy b'shiryan, and not with a coat of mail, like kind of armor, protective clothing. V'loy b'kazda, not with a helmet. V'loy b'megafayim, and not with shin guards. But it's not a chiv chatas over here. It's considered a tachshit for the man. And just like we had in the previous Mishnah, that there are certain things which are considered tachshitim for a woman, but it's also because they might come to carry it. These also, for the man, are considered tachshitim. They're considered things that he would wear, and to show of a pride, it would be a pride for him to wear these things, but we are concerned rather that he might take it off and come to carry them, so it's also midrabanan. Sandal mesumar, my time. Why is it also to go out with these cleats, with the sandalim that have the nails nailed to them? Amr Shmuel says, Shilfei Agzero Hayu, and there were people that were Yidden that were running away. They were fugitives from the Gzera. Vayu Nechmoim B'mara, and they were hiding in a cave. Va'amro, and they declared, they said, Hanichlas Yikanes, whoever wants to come into the cave can. Va'yotz al Yetze, but whoever wants to go out is not allowed to leave. Nebach Santala Shalachamahem, so the sandal of one person was reversed, so it looked in the opposite direction. And it looked like it was going not into the cave, but out of the cave. So they thought, since it was turned the other direction, they thought that somebody was going out. And they were afraid if someone left, they declared nobody's allowed to leave, because if they leave the cave, then the enemies might see them. So they thought that somebody left, and the enemies saw this person. And now they were in a panic, and they thought they were going to be attacked. So they were all in a panic. And they started pushing each other and shoving. And the more people were lost to that, more than by the enemies. And Rahman al-San, we saw a couple of years ago that when it comes to panic in a closed, confined area, that with the panic, Rahman al-San, the terrible tragedy. So this was this terrible tragedy that they were pushing each other and panicking, and so many people were nifter. So based on that, they were geyser not to wear this sandal on Shabbos. We'll see why the gzer is applicable dafka to Shabbos. Rabbi Eloi ben Elazar, he has a different version of why it was the gzera. He says, they were hiding in a cave, and they heard a voice on top of the Mara, on top of the cave, and they thought they were being attacked from on top. And again, same idea, and they were pushing each other to escape. And again, then more than the enemy, they more were nifter from this tragic accident. A third version, Rabbi Bar Cheskel Amar beVeis HaKnesses HaYeshim, they were in a shul, not in a cave. V'shama kol ma'achrei Beis HaKnesses, and they heard the sound from behind the shul. K'sur ma'ayiv shebayim alam ha'ivim, and they thought they were being attacked. And again, Dachdu Zevazeh v'hargu Zezeh Yetzer Mimash Hargu b'ma'ivim, and more people were lost more than by the enemy. By Sashul Amru Al Yetzer Adam Esamol Mesumar. And based on that, they were geyser that a person should not go out on Shabbos with this sandal hamesumar. Then, well, it should be also on a weekday as well. I'm going to account to this. But the mice happened on Shabbos, so they were geyser on Shabbos. So we'll continue over here. We'll continue with the next Amud. Then why? What about Yom Tov, etc.? What about other similar situations?